Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Help I'm an Adult. Now, I'm recording this, but not sure I'm going to actually be posting it, and I guess I'll just pray about it and see. But this episode is going to be about my faith journey, and I am contemplating not posting it mainly because obviously this is a podcast about figuring out adulting, and I do tend to share a lot of my personal experience. But I don't know, for some reason, this one feels like it's something I probably shouldn't be sharing on here. But you know what? It is my personal experience, and hopefully somebody else out there is going to be able to pick something from this. And I'm going to be talking about my faith journey, which, for anybody who doesn't know, I am a Christian, and I've grown up in a Christian household. And and I just want to talk us through how I've kind of got to where I am in my faith, actually figuring things out as a certified adult, if that's the word to use for it. Not that I don't think anybody can ever be a certified adult, but so hope you enjoy. Here we go. All right, so my faith journey, I guess, started when I was about 8 or 9, probably 8 or 9 years old. I remember after a church service, I didn't step out when the altar call was being made. And for anybody who doesn't know, an altar call is basically when it's announced in church that if anybody wants to give their life to Christ and become a born-again Christian, they step out and we do a prayer and we get spoken to about. But I never came out while I was in church. I never stepped out, I guess is the word, during that church service. And this was a service being led by my dad, who's a pastor. Again, if you didn't know, I am a pastor's child. And I remember when we got home after that meeting, even though I knew in church I wanted to, but there was always something at the back of my mind that always felt like everybody in church assumed I was already a born-again Christian. And so I felt like if I step out now, it's going to be so bizarre. So when I got home, I remember telling my dad and being like, I want to become a born-again Christian. I want to give my life to Christ. And right there in our house, he prayed with me. We talked about what it means to be a born-again Christian and everything like that. And from then on, I remember, I grew up in Nigeria, so I was very much involved in church always from childhood. But I remember just being able to confidently step up and do stuff. So fast forward to moving to the UK when I was about 12 years old, and starting church here. Church was a little different for me. I was very used to, I guess, what I'll call the stereotypical black church, but to me that's just church anyway, where everything is all bubbly jubbly, music, praise and worship was always a jam. But then the church we started going to here was very much focused. It was less praise and more worship, and I kind of found it weird. But again, it's not like that's a bad thing, but I just wasn't used to that. So, but I joined the youth group, which I actually did enjoy. So the youth group was more of, for me, they broke things down, they broke the word down so easily. I was able to make friends from that group, and it turns out that most of those guys some of the guys went to my school. So it was very easy and I enjoyed church. I'm going to now fast forward to my adulting age. So from my adulting age, I guess, is when I went to uni, is what I'll call it. So I moved to uni in 2012. I've obviously went in search for a church. I found a church. I won't say I was drawn to the church and being like, this is a church I want to serve and do stuff in. But I did enjoy their services. I enjoyed going to the evening service at that church, and it was more of the chilled out service, if you get what I mean. And I was actually, my first year, I was very much adamant on sticking to that. But as time went on, and during second year, third year in uni, and I just found myself drifting away. I didn't go to church most of the time. And I just never understood it. I basically would say that time in uni, I fully wasn't what people could probably classify as a good Christian, again, in quote, good Christian, in terms of me going to church. It didn't mean I wasn't praying. It didn't mean I didn't believe in God. I tended to put a lot of things before God, which now, obviously, when I look back, is something that I really regret. And yeah, so that was my journey through uni. And in my final year, while I was in my undergrad, I decided to join the Christian Union because I realized another thing that didn't help was most of my friends weren't really Christians in uni. And I didn't have people to encourage me to say, go to church, to do all that. I didn't have that. But in my final year, I think it was third to final year in my undergrad, I did join the Christian Union, and I actually enjoyed going to Christian Union sessions, and they had the Tuesday meetings, and I decided to join the worship team there, and it was really, really good. It was the first time in a long time while I was in uni anyway, that I felt closer to God, because I was surrounded by people of the same faith, of the same belief, and there were people my age who were probably going through the same thing I was going through. But one thing I wish is that I did that sooner rather than later. That's for sure. And now I have like two amazing friends that I've always kept in touch with. So uni ends and I'm back home. I'm doing my master's, but I'm back home and I'm still trying to find a church to go, because now I don't necessarily have to go to the same church my parents go to. My dad has a ministry, still has his church that I'm a part of. It's mainly an online thing, not just before COVID, but it's mainly been an online platform. And so I've always been a part of that. But there's something about being in being in a physical church, being part of a group, a small group, a prayer group, whatever it is, like serving in a physical church was something that I craved a lot. And then I found one that I guess I found by luck, is what I'll say it was. Well, even though luck is not the word to use for that. But I would say God led me to that church eventually. And I really enjoyed that church. I remember the first service I went to, and the pastor preached, and it was a message. The way he preached it kind of reminded me of home, like of Nigeria, and how very direct, very straightforward, very Bible focused their message was, and it wasn't watered down in any way. And I just thought, okay, this is a church. I loved their praise worship. They were very welcoming. It was just where I wanted to be. And from going to that church, I realized how much I'd slacked in my faith, if that's the word. So I never stopped believing in God. I just didn't pray that often, didn't read my Bible as much as I know I should be. I barely I don't know, I just never put God first the way I know I should have. And I found that very, very, in those moments, I feel like this was 2-3 years ago, I just couldn't, it just didn't sit right with me that's the way I'd lived my life since I left home and I guess became an adult. But that's what happened. And for the last 3 years, it's been a on and off thing. I'm not going to say I've definitely not been consistent. And lately, if for anyone who follows my personal page on Instagram or on social media, I've just found it much more easier. There's things that I normally never even think, oh, God doesn't. I never think, oh, ask God about that or pray about it. And now I'm finding it so much easier. And the why that works is there's now more people around me who are Christians, who are Bible-believing Christians, who are born-again Christians, people who are there to encourage me when I'm feeling very down. And I'm not saying, again, like I said, the last 3 years have been on and off. And I think the beginning of this year, I very much had this huge guilt of being a hypocrite. Now, let me explain. When I say being a hypocrite, I was doing stuff for church, social media, posting, doing all this stuff online, doing a few live services, going to my other Bible study with my physical church group and all of that. And it got to a point where I just felt I wasn't personally actually connecting with God. I was just doing all of this group stuff. And now there must be some of you watching this and thinking, really? Yes, I did not tell anybody this. But I just felt like everyone was like, oh, Sharon's a great Christian. She does this for church. She does this, she does that. She's very good. And I'm just but in my heart, I knew there was just something off. And it just didn't sit right with me I guess is the guilt. I don't know what it was, but I will call it guilt, basically. And I felt very much like a hypocrite. And so I told this to somebody. Then asked me, someone from my prayer group and small group was like, "Oh, Sharon, we haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything's okay." And normally I just brush it off and be like, "Yeah, it's fine, just busy with work," and not think about it. But I finally got the courage, I guess, and the conviction to just say, you know what? I've honestly felt like a hypocrite so badly that I stopped going to small group. I started making excuses to not be there. And I kind of did like deteriorate in my Bible reading and praying. There are other things that I just didn't do. I definitely was not in a good place, like for myself, mentally, physically, I spiritually was not in a good place. And but the moment I actually revealed it and said it to her and to someone, she just said, "Sharon, you're not alone in that. Everybody feels that way once in a while, if not all the time, because we're never going to be perfect and never going to be good. That is why there is no such thing as a good Christian. We all do our best to live Christ-like, but there are times when the flesh would win, and God knows this, and this is why forgiveness exists. This is why we have Jesus." Just those words and things and that just kind of, I guess, hit me hard is the word I want to say. But also alongside that, my sister also was like, started following, sticking to God more, and also basically just every time I'm around her, I could just see the glow that she had. I was like, I know it's because, and it was just because I know she was focused on God a lot more. And I just told myself, like, if there are people who are doing this, not everybody's perfect. Just do your bit, whatever it is that would help. I talked about the fact that I started doing my Bible in a year. And I'm not saying the aim is just to read the Bible in 1 year and forget it, but I needed something like a routine to keep me focused on God and keep me on track and always remind me to basically thank God in my day, which I wasn't really doing a lot of previously. And honestly, it has been amazing. Like, I enjoy reading the Bible more now. There's an app for it for any Christians out there who's probably in the same shoe as me and you're just finding it difficult to fit God in. Honestly, before you go to bed or first thing in the morning, just put on the app. Even on your drive, like I've done that a few times when I've had a long drive and maybe I didn't have the time because I probably woke up late to sit down and actually do a Bible reading. But I just put it on. It's an audio. You can also read along if you wanted to, but obviously if you're driving, don't read along. Yeah, I just put it on and I can listen to it in my car. And it reads the Bible scriptures for the day, and it has explanation for each section, each scripture it reads as well, which has been absolutely amazing and honestly helps me to just stay connected to God in that day. And whatever the topic is that we're praying about, it is so easy to just do a quick prayer and throughout the day meditate on those prayers and those words. And it has helped me so much to stay connected and stay focused on God. And it's made me more conscious to put God first. So yeah, that is my faith journey. It's so easy for us to just be like, yeah, I still believe, but like not actually actively communicate with God or read his word or have him communicate with us. And especially when we become adults, I guess, because there's so many more distractions going on. You want to hang out with your friends, you have a job, actually like lockdown situations where it's very difficult to separate work and home life. It is so easy to just forget to read your Bible or forget to pray and things like that. And I think as adults, that's something, actually adults who are trying to live their life in faith, it is something we need to actually get back on track with, for sure. And that, I guess, my easy way I would recommend, again, this is not advert for anything, I'm just saying, but this is what worked for me. The Bible in a Year app is something that will help you out. There's also devotional books out there that you can get into, and that would help you on a daily basis. I'm sure there's podcasts as well, the daily devotions that you can just tune into. So anything that helps you just get back on track with God. You can listen to sermons by your favorite pastors. Even if you don't know any pastor, there's sermons on so many different topics. So I'm sure if you type in on YouTube or type it off, just search it on Google, there will be a sermon relating to whatever it is you want God to speak to you about. And that's basically it. So adults that are finding it difficult to stay in faith, I hope my story encourages you. I hope that you pick up a point or two, and just know that you're not alone. There's a lot of people who definitely have moments where their faith was just not a priority. And it's not too late. It's never too late with God. It is never, ever too late. So just come back in. He will accept you with open arms. And our God is always faithful. He's a forgiving God. He's faithful. I don't even know how else to describe God, but he is God, and you can always come back to him. You can't, there's no, oh, I've gone too far down this road now. No, there's never a path too far ahead. God will meet you at whatever point you're at, and he will bring you back to the right path, to the path that leads to him and those pearly gates. Alrighty, that's enough from me. I hope that encouraged somebody, even if it's just one person. And I'll see you in the next episode.